Game Clan! Game Clan? That's not at all what I meant to say. And I'm a little uncomfortable that I said it. The Game Plan is brought to you by Max Jazz Games, whose game Kung Booby you could be playing right now. Your gaming week is started with Kung Booby, available now on iOS App Store. Kung Booby, not associated with the clan.
Thank you for clarifying.
Well, I had to because I introduced them as part of a segment that definitely does not involve them.
I mean, we got to take back the word clan. It's clan with a C. You were talking about a different clan.
I was talking about like a pack of people who kill woolly mammoths. Oh my god, I can't talk. The podcast.
That's it for today's.
Can we take it from the top? Can we get Steph back in and I'll go to physio?
We'll remove the last 30 seconds of the show in the version that goes out in the podcast.
Yeah,
Woomy mammoth.
Woomy mammoth. Woomy mammoths. When you talk for a living like I do, sometimes your brain is just like, not today. Which is fine, because all I've got for the rest of the day is another 4 hours of live streaming. The Game Plan is where we look at games that are coming out this week so you can plan out your weekend games. Let's take a look at the games on offer this week. First up, Tuesday the 11th. Hey, that's today. Hood, Outlaws and Legends. It's coming out for PS5, PS4, Xbox S, X, and PC. In a violent medieval world, outplay rival gangs in tense PvPvE multiplayer heists, moving in stealth to steal treasures unseen or dominating through loud and brutal combat. Only the best will escape with hard-earned riches. If you don't want to be a Robin Hood, you could be a Destiny Hood. Again, the mouth is just not keeping up with the brain.
I think the brain was at fault in that one.
How about you shut the fuck up and let me do my job, Peter Burns? Coming out today as well, the new season of Destiny 2, Season of the Splicer. The newest season begins May 11th, and it tasks Guardians with protecting the last city for the advances of the Vex. The new season runs until August 24th and includes new weapons, new missions, and a trip back to a classic Destiny raid. I believe it's the Vault of Glass, is it?
Yep, that was the first ever raid.
There you go. Bungie revealed last week another AAA DLC drop, Assassin's Creed Valhalla Wrath of the Druids, coming Thursday the 13th. Wrath of the Druids will take players with to the haunted wilds of Ireland as they go head-to-head against a vicious Druidic cult known as the Children of Danu. Players will be able to conquer forts, become the best smuggler in all of Ireland, and gain the Gaelic king's illustrious favor, which is...
Sounds hot.
Yeah. Before we leave, Friday, May 14th, coming to PC. Pete, you said that this had been out on Epic for a while?
I think it came to Steam in early access in 2019 and then was on Epic from 2020, maybe still as an early access thing, but it might have released on Epic as part of Epic's like, we own this now.
Yeah. Before we leave is a non-violent city building game set in a cozy corner of the universe. Nurture your peeps and their surroundings while rebuilding and rediscovering civilization. Settle new lands and planets while avoiding hungry space whales. There's a lot of ideas in one video game right there. Speaking of a lot of something, here's a lot of words. Famicom Detective Club, The Girl Who Stands Behind, and Famicom Detective Club, The Missing Heir. Interrogate suspects and hunt for clues on Friday, May 14th on your Switch to piece together chilling conundrums plaguing a high school in Japan. Suspense and a little bit of horror ensues as you try to free students from their nightmare. Can you figure out who the culprit is before it's too late? I'll tell you when it's too late to start playing that on Friday, May 14th, because you're going to be playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition coming to PC, Xbox One, X and S, PS5 and PS4. I haven't even written the blurb for the Mass Effect. You know what it is? You know what Mass Effect is? It's all about getting up in them aliens. So get up in them aliens on Friday, May 14th. And finally, also on Friday, once you finish those 3 RPGs, you can dip into Subnautica Below Zero. Coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox One, S, X, PC, and Switch. Submerge yourself in an all-new Sub-Zero expedition in an Arctic region of planet 4546b. Which I suppose Earth maybe was designated something. Do we have an official designation or do we just have a name? We got to have
I assume we're One.
I mean, that's only because we live here, and that's classic.
Of course. Yeah.
That's classic colonial thinking right there.
Everything's relative to us.
That's true. But everyone who lives on 4546B is like, we're actually Planet One. Arriving with a little more than your wits and some survival equipment, you set out to investigate what happened to your sister. Oh my god. A dearth. No, not a dearth. What's the opposite of a dearth? A glut of video games.
Truly a
Peter,
glut.
What is on your game plan this week?
Gluttonous weeks. We got a bunch of time, so I reckon we can have a couple of things because I'm actually interested in a few things here. And weirdly, I'm interested in Hood, Outlaws, and Legends because the concept of it is intriguing to me as someone who plays games with friends a lot. If I can convince my mates to get into this, it could be an interesting little thing because it's PvPvE. So it's like a bunch of squads go into a map with non-player controlled enemies as well. In this case, it's like the guards of the court, and you're trying to steal treasure out of a walled city. And it's like a stealth game, cooperative game. It's a lot of ideas. But obviously I love the aesthetic and I think all the classes like make total sense for this. So I think there could be some real fun to this. A little bit like Vermintide, PvP of Vermintide or something like that. So I'm just intrigued to check it out because it could be one of those things that like I hadn't heard of it until it was like, oh, this game is coming out. Like I've not seen any real press around this title. There's not like a Sony or a Microsoft behind it, are there?
But I've seen some stuff, but it's really been like, I kept being reminded that this game existed, and so therefore went and like searched out,
looked it up.
Preview coverage and stuff. I'm with you. Like I'm really interested into how this plays. I think it's people have been playing it for a while on Steam, potentially in early access. Like it's again like all video games these days. It doesn't actually have a release date. It just has a sort of decade over which it has come out in some form or another. But I agree. If it's less PvP and more PvE as a group with a little bit of PvP, then maybe I'm there. Are you like, are the squads trying to beat each other to get the treasure? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think
that's
fight
neat. I like
and
that.
Kill each other.
But I totally like that more than I like the idea of like a battle royale where it's just like running around and just like killing everybody. Like,
there's strategy.
It rewards different kinds of gameplay.
Totally. A little bit like Gus's favorite plunder mode. It's like, sometimes you want to be aggressive against other players and other times you want to just be like focusing objectives and making sure that your team is doing like, there's a bit of strategy in that sense of like when to be aggressive against other teams and when to just be pushing for, that main objective. So totally. I think that could be an interesting one to like dabble in. And I see some people who have dabbled in chat and they say it's fun unless you're playing on your own. And I don't think I would ever play this by myself.
No.
And the other thing, which might surprise you, that I'm interested in.
No, it won't, because we had to share.
Because we have to share the Famicom Detective Club games. And again, I think this is like when I saw this in the Nintendo Direct, I was immediately intrigued by how beautiful. Like we've seen so many of these kinds of games, but the art in this and the animation in the art is really, really cool. There's often such flat art, but even like the characters in the background kind of moving in these moments and stuff. It's like the amount of frames of animation in these pieces is like there's so much like care put into this stuff. And like, and the other thing that pushes me across the line is the fact that these games existed on the Famicom. They never had a Western release. But Nintendo are confident enough in these stories that they are still effective stories that are interesting and can be told today to put enough money behind them to get this beautiful new coat of paint. So I think if I ever enjoy these kinds of like story detective games, these will be ones that really grab me.
Yeah, I'm totally in the same boat with this. This is one that I'm really looking forward to. We can take a game each on this one. And the only thing that I'm not not even not keen on, but just like having to keep in the back of my mind is that you're right. These are stunning looking, but they're going to play like games from decades ago. So and some coverage that I'd seen of it is like there is some real sort of like pixel hunt style, like you are not clicking on the right bit here, or you need to click on this 6 times to trigger the next thing, whatever. So that, you know, it's not like it's not a 2021, it's not Paradise Killer where they've gone like, hey, we've progressed this. But yeah, I'm so keen for this, and I hear the stories really hold up. So yeah, that's definitely on my list. Mass Effect, I don't even need to talk about. It's 100% there. I'm so excited about getting back into that. And the other thing for me that I'm really interested in is Subnautica Below Zero. I really liked the original Subnautica. I think that it again. I don't do great in games where I have to make my own fun. I don't really like those sort of like survival games where it's all about like building epic things or whatever. Subnautica had some of that in there. It was a little less guided than I think I wanted it to be. But I loved being underwater. Once I turned down some of the like requirements on constantly eating and drinking and that sort of thing, where I'm like, these things are never fun to me. And it just became like an exploration survival thing as opposed to like full on realistic survival. I really liked it. This potentially will do it's either going to be the version of Subnautica that I adore because it is more guided, or it's going to wreck the thing that people loved about Subnautica, which is how sort of like free flowing it is. Going to this frozen biome, having a character that actually has a bit of a story going on. Like the trailer has tons of personality in it, which I really, really liked as well. Like I was completely compelled by this trailer. And oftentimes with these kinds of things, I just sort of scrub through because I'm like, I don't care about any of this. Yeah. So I'm keen to check this out and see, you know, how much of a single player game we've put in here, and how they've changed up some of that survival stuff for this new series of biomes. So yeah, it's going to look really cool.
Yeah, and I really love the idea of, you know, we've got so many survival games, and to me, it's just like they're all fun to me for a little while, and then I fall off them pretty quickly.
Yep.
And Ark is kind of doing this with the Ark 2. There's going to be a campaign in the Ark survival game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's often light campaigns, even in things like No Man's Sky. There's like ideas of a story to chase across the stars kind of thing. But I really hope this works for Subnautica because it's a cool engine, and it's actually like it's obviously one of the more popular ones that stood the test of time. And like, yeah, this trailer is really cool, and I would love to see a success in putting stories into these survival games. And I would love to see. You know, I don't think Valheim needs one, but like I think No Man's Sky could totally have a Mass Effect style mini story told on a series of planets that get, you know, introduced, or a sector that gets like released, and it's like go and do the missions over here in like a sequence that is like more like level based, traditional game based, and like. Because I miss all that. That's why I drop off when I play survival games. I'm like, cool, I'm used to the mechanics, and like I could see how I could be really successful at this, and I don't want to invest the time to get really successful at this.
Totally,
so
yeah.
If I had a driving campaign in a world that I'm really comfortable and familiar with and enjoy, then like, yeah, more power to that game.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That like, I mean, I think that's so much the reason that I fall off. Most of the time when I fall off games, if I'm not bored by it or I don't think it's good, it's because I'm like, I've kind of sucked out of you everything that you have to offer. Like, and that's why. But like, narrative titles tend to drag me through because I'm like, that's the thing that's pulling me through it. So combine those two things, you potentially have the first survival game that I'll kind of really get into.
Yeah.
Keen. Well, let us know what is on your game plan. It's a very packed week this week, so hopefully there is something for everybody.